What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, Joker back again once again, and today we are talking about what is more or less the end of the season, and how it's kinda sort of a big fat nothing burger. Now, I have seen people say that this is the best season in all of Witch Queen's release year, and while that may be true, that's not really saying much, and it's probably not the compliment people intend. That's kinda like saying, okay, sure, I busted my head on the door and fell down 3 flights of stairs and nearly died, but hey, at least I wasn't stabbed in the kidneys 87 times, so life is good. Like, okay, better by comparison is only a compliment when the two things being compared are of quality. Now, that's not to say that Season of the Asset Flip is all bad. Sure, grinding out heist battlegrounds is one of the most tedious things you can do. The lore and the narrative are all over the place. The narrative has some of the most nonsensical melodrama ever. I mean, like, okay, Anna finally stands up to Clovis Bray and all her daddy issues that aren't actually her own issues because she has no memory of her past life. You go, girl! Only for it to mean absolutely nothing because Clovis is back on Europa chilling like a villain. And the way that Bungie treats Clovis like an idiot or a monster is hilarious. More so given how ineffectual the city has been at doing anything without our help. There's this one bit of dialogue that has Clovis asking, hey, why don't we just blow up the moon and kill all the hive there instead of letting them have a staging platform on our doorstep? We can create a gravity well that will simulate the moon's tidal pool. To which a writer had the audacity to say, well, that would make humanity a more credible threat to the hive. What? You fucking what, mate? At this point, we have killed millions of hive. Just because lol. Oh, and I mean, I could be misremembering something here, but we've killed what? 6, if not more, quote unquote, hive gods? Just so we could either turn them into a weapon and or wear their ass as a hat. And somehow, someway, through some Herculean leap in logic that us mere mortals will never be able to comprehend, some writer had the audacity to think, to write, to spew this garbage and drivel that the hive don't take humanity seriously as a credible threat, but they might if we blew up our own moon? What? And you might be thinking to yourself, but Joker, that's kind of a nitpick, don't you think? I don't think it is, because yes, in a vacuum, looking at that one line of dialogue might seem like a nitpick, but it's just an example of how lazy the writing has become. They don't even think about the garbage they're writing anymore. And you know what? To be fair to the writers, it's probably because they don't get the chance to. Here's another plot point that I don't think was really thought out, for example. So, for all these years, Rasputin couldn't communicate with us. You know, except for all those times that he did? He seemed to communicate with Anna just fine. People were able to translate the Russian he spoke, IRL, just fine. And you're telling me the supercomputer god who could have killed the Traveler anytime he wanted, wink wink nudge nudge, he didn't really shoot the Traveler, we swear. But he totally could have killed the Traveler if he wanted to. Doesn't know how to send a text or email. Doesn't know his ABCs. Oh, and we're just supposed to forget all the lore where he just straight up talks to people like the Exo Stranger. But since Bungie harassed any writers that actually knew this stuff away, we have writers whose basic understanding of Rasputin was big orange orb that went but hey, fucking details. Season of the Asset Flip doesn't do anything except say a bunch of stupid shit. At best, it just returns the plot to the status quo of a few years ago, all while in the background trying to tangentially find ways to inject plot points about Neo Luna because Bungie suddenly remembered, oh shit, we forgot to foreshadow our next DLC, so let's do it in the 11th hour. And to wrap all of this up, we have a dysfunctional family of characters that we're supposed to give a shit about in what passes for emotional storytelling, having really pivotal moments. Oh, Anna Bray stood up to her dad and like replaced him and rewrote him with Rasputin. Except not. Also, I'm just getting really sick and tired of being the voyeur with a weapon attached to them that watches as people have emotional moments, but never interacts, never engages. So much for being the protagonist. Actually, Crow's the protagonist of Destiny, but again, details. All of this is to say that when people talk about Season of the Asset Flip being good, what they're actually talking about is two things. About an hour's worth, maybe two, of content. They're talking about the dungeon, which is not part of the season, and the exotic quest for the Revision 0. Because they sure as shit are not talking about Battlegrounds or PvP. And when you account for the fact that the dungeon is not part of the season and it's sold separately, all the praise for the season boils down to what amounts to half an hour of content. Content where the vast majority of it is pressing forward on the stick, going from location to location, looking at pretty scenery and skyboxes. You know, provided you're not just me and run past everything. Now, this might come off as a digression, but follow me for a moment. The other day, I saw this comment on my GDC video that was basically,
"But Joker, another doom and gloom video for views."
I didn't know reporting reality, reporting what Bungie actually believes, what Bungie actually said, and the philosophy behind how they design games was doom and gloom. I thought it was just reporting abject reality. I find that people often conflate negativity with inconvenient truths they don't want to hear. So as an olive branch to all of those who think all I do is doomsay, let's have a belated look at the best Season of the Asset Flip has to offer. First spotted in a "Why is the Deepstone Crypt over Earth" moment in the trailer, Operation SHIELD takes place on a Braytech facility in geosynchronous orbit around Earth, just above the city and the Traveler that no one has ever noticed before. Ludonarrative dissidence aside, the mission is how you get the newest pulse rifle sweeping the nation, Revision 0. And this thing's fucking awesome. No backhanded compliment. This thing is legitimately fun to use, and instead of selling a bunch of skins in the cash shop, Bungie made the skins part of upgrading the weapon. Gasp, shock, horror, lightning crackle, lightning crackle, lightning crackle. So, I mean, this thing's fucking cool. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think that this is a really cool weapon, and it's fun to use. Now, if only PvP didn't suck shit through a straw. That said, the quest around upgrading this pulse rifle is cock. What do I mean? Well, as I'm sure most of you are well aware, but for those of you who have not played Destiny since Witch Queen or any of the various testing of the player's patience that look like spectacular jumping off points for the series called Seasons, gotta make sure those parents who work 87 hours a week to take care of their 32 children can keep up. And that's kind of the rub here. You're not allowed to progress at your own pace.
But Joker, if Bungie didn't timegate the content, you'd just bitch when there's nothing to do.
But here's the thing, oh fanboy having an aneurysm over people's opinion on the internet about a video game mine. There's still nothing to do. You're just doing the same thing over and over and over ad nauseum once a week for 20 minutes to an hour. That's it. So the grievance that there's nothing to do still stands. It's still valid. You know, unless you're one of those aforementioned parents with 87 kids who works 360 hours a day, then I guess you have plenty to do. But if you're somebody who has at least one friend and an hour a week, not so much. But I think the biggest issue with the time gating of content and the seasonal model in general is how it breaks immersion. When you break immersion, when you time gate content, what happens? Well, it goes from being something that I'm super excited to do here and now and in the moment because it's new and shiny, to becoming a chore, to becoming something like, oh yeah, I guess I have to log in and do that thing. And it's because immersion is broken. I've probably done some of the most monotonous, brain-numbing tasks anyone can do in a video game, but because it was new and shiny, because the session wasn't broken up by arbitrary time gates, it probably didn't feel like at the time I was doing something monotonous and annoying or a chore. Once you break momentum, once you have people outside of the game looking at schedules and lining things up with their friends, once I have to consider real world obligations versus a video game because Bungie wanted to artificially pad out the pace of the game, then you lose me. It's all about flow state. It's about being in the zone. It's all about a willingness to commit to a grind one moment and then finding it boring the next because, well, enough times passed that I've thought about it. I think people are far more willing and far more forgiving about grinds when it's something they can just do at their own pace, not be gated out of it over the course of days, weeks, months, whatever. At least I am. And this has nothing to do with instant gratification and everything to do with pacing. Now, I want to be clear, this is not a criticism of the mission in and of itself, just the questline to upgrade the exotic weapon, and a kind of critique on the seasonal model as a whole. Look, I get that YouTube and TikTok says, people only have the attention span of a gnat, but I'm the type of guy who appreciates long-form content and being in the zone. As for the mission itself, it actually makes no sense, as I have already alluded to, but here's a bit of a recap. So there's this Braytech satellite, not just orbiting Earth, but directly above the city and the Traveler. Now, there may be something in the lore that explains this, but if I have to go to a menu or out of the game to look up why something is the way that it is, you've categorically failed at storytelling. And it's not like this place was particularly hidden or unimportant. The Fallen just kinda sorta fly up, and the Hive just teleport in. But we need to reverse ODST our way up there. And you'd think, okay, well, you know what? Hold on, Joker, maybe this makes sense. If we reverse ODST our way up there, then obviously we have security clearance to be there. The Hive and the Fallen are just breaking in. Maybe we won't have a difficult time. Oh yeah, no. So when you think about it, the whole first section is pretty pointless. It just pads out the mission. We could have just flown there. And I have to wonder, why does anyone actually care about this place? I mean, we care because there's loot there that we want. But like, even with this whole Rasputin thing, why does the darkness care? No, I mean, really, actually sit down and think about it for a second. Oh, the story tells us that Ziva-Wrath doesn't care from whence the blood flows, only that it flows, and this is stupid. No, it really, really is in the context of Destiny 2, because, the darkness can just annihilate us. What is stopping the darkness from going Golden Age Collapse 2.0? Because we're nowhere near as powerful as we were in the Golden Age. Oh, you could say,
But Joker, maybe the darkness isn't as powerful as it used to be in the Golden Age. And maybe the Traveler could stop it this time, so he wants Ziva-Wrath to weaken it. Hashtag doubt.
we killed Oryx, who was stronger than Ziva-Wrath, meaning Ziva-Wrath isn't going to do shit for fuck. Yeah, she might kill some civilians of the city who, after 8 years, we know virtually nothing about. Oh, the humanity! Look, I'm just saying it's a dumb plot point. The darkness could just wipe us out. If Rasputin could kill the Traveler at the height of the Golden Age, and we allegedly brought Rasputin back to full power, and one darkness ship was like, go fuck yourself, then the darkness can kill the Traveler. Because last time it was Savathun who stopped the Traveler from being destroyed by hiding it.
But Joker!
They want the location to Neo Luna.
Why not just Golden Age collapse everything?
Oh, well, because you wouldn't have a story, okay?
You're telling me they couldn't come up with something less nonsensical? Rasputin is the most wasted time in the history of Destiny. Actually, Rasputin is a very good analogy for Destiny. Oversold, overpromised, and lives on hopes and dreams, and then, when it's finally delivered, it's disappointing. It sucks. The overall mission is relatively easy, more so if you've ever played the Deepstone Crypt raid, as it's in many ways just a dumbed down version of that raid. That's not to say that it's bad. I know fanboys are in the business of conflating negativity with anything that isn't the sound of gagging noises, but this is the sort of mission I'm impressed that Bungie had the guts to try. It does something that Destiny should have been doing all along, incorporating raid mechanics into the base game. So, like, bravo. Raids are really some of the best content in Destiny. That's not even up for debate. It's where Bungie does its most innovation. But Destiny does a really shit job of teaching players how to play raids. So missions like this that use raid mechanics in a setting that resembles the raid, but it's not that hard, it's not that high stakes, it's easy to teach and easy to solo, which is a welcome change. Bungie really does need to lean into this more. Teach your player base how to play your raids, so it's not like only 13% of the player base ever play one. All in all, there's not really much to say about the
Best mission in the best season ever.
other than, yeah, it's alright. It's a good piece of content in a season that's not really that much better than the rest. However, the Destiny community is so starved for content and positivity that one piece of content is enough to satisfy these browbeaten fanatics. So play it before it goes bye-bye in February, because it is fun. But it is a lot of been there, done that. However, it's probably something that a lot of people have not experienced because a lot of people don't raid. So I do keep that in mind when talking about it. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Remember to like, but only if you did. Subscribe for more. Feel free to donate to my Patreon if you're feeling particularly generous. But above all else, stay frosty.